Hello. How's it going, everybody? It's episode 217 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. The lady laughing over here is my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. Nice to see you all on this pleasant Tuesday.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're very bundled up today.
I feel cozy.
Very cozy.
Today.
And speaking of cozy, I don't know what the segue is there. You're wearing a long sleeve shirt. That could be cozy. How you doing today?
Cozy.
Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for timcast.com.
You can go over there and read articles while cozy, wearing something cozy.
Yeah, I guess if you have sleeves on.
Yes, that was my logic.
Living cozy life.
That was my logic there.
It's a very weird transition. I'm just going to level with you.
Okay, so before we get into what we're going to get into today, I have to ask Hannah Claire one question. What the hell did you think of Too Fast, Too Furious?
I did do it. I watched Too Fast, Too Furious.
She
Look,
did it.
I'm going to level with you. I don't understand the appeal at all. I'm not even sure, there's a semblance of a plot line. There's a whole tension with, is the good-looking girl a good cop, or has she been corrupted because she's, kind of a honeypot for this criminal, and then a bunch of cars go by, and, I don't really know that we needed a second movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise. This doesn't sell the overarching storyline to me.
Does it sell the third?
The thing is, I feel like you could just take all of these characters out. They are pretending that because the same people are in the movies, they're sort of related, but really they're not. You could have just produced 2 or 3 or apparently 10 movies about cars and racing and crime. It's not even in the same city. Only one of the 2 of the FBI guy and the blonde guy are the same.
Well, it's because Vin Diesel didn't come back for the second one because they didn't offer him enough money or something like that.
Sure, but that also means that they could have just pretended it was a completely different movie, also about cars with different people in it in a different city.
They could have, but the first one made a lot of money, so they had to
use the name.
But that's
they
what
had
I'm
to
saying.
use the name to sell the second one.
I understand that. I'm just saying, if we're talking plot, I did not feel like it was really giving what I would hope from a cinematic masterpiece.
It wasn't giving what it was supposed to give.
Well, I
was giving nonsense and also very little logic. But
I've got some bad news for you. It doesn't get any better.
That's the thing. I don't like.
I mean, it does for me because I love them, but it doesn't for you.
The hardest part of this challenge is I can't quit. I have to see it all the way through, and I don't want to. There is no reason to continue watching this franchise. In my opinion, don't come for me if you love it. If you love it, you love it, right? But to me, it's just a different movie about cars that they put some of the same people in. It doesn't really make sense.
You had already watched part of the second movie in your sleep, right? So did you rewatch the whole thing?
I rewatched the whole thing because I was
torturous.
I've got to see it. Because I only really remember, again, what I realized is that I saw the opening girls in short skirts walking by, and then you see Ludacris's profile with his afro, and then he comes out of this garage and he's like, let's start racing, and that's where I fell asleep. It turns out that's within the first 90 seconds of the movie. So I felt like fair shot, I should probably just try.
So we know why Brett likes this movie.
Why do I like this movie?
Ludacris is in it, and there are girls in short skirts.
Cars, girls in short skirts, Ludacris. Are there explosions?
There's got to be. There's cars jumping over bridges.
Oh yeah, there's a bridge, and they crash, and they go over here, and the cars are fast, and they're like, oh, look at that shiny car.
Look, we know that Brett likes mindless action movies.
Yes, he does.
I just I don't understand. I want to take away a lesson from this, but I don't understand why these sell, other than it's cool to see action shots of cars if you're into cars. I don't feel emotionally attached to any of these
They sell because they're awesome. That's why they sell.
Kind of a nihilistic franchise, right?
In a way. In a way.
All right.
But I love them.
I just don't get it.
By the way, we have something else we need to announce.
Something to shill for you.
Mary,
shill.
Shill.
If you didn't expect that from us, this will be the first time. I know a lot of you might be familiar with Jeremy's Razors from Daily Wire. Well, he's holding a competition for who can win his McLaren.
Or cash.
Or cash, $250K in cash. And we decided to enter so that you guys can use our referral link to either get 35% off of a Daily Wire membership or $12 off of one of his Jeremy's Razors kits.
So the idea here would be what? That if you're a lady and you don't want to, you prefer the pink tax and you want to use razors that are pink, then what you do is
razors are supposed to be better, sharper blades and stuff.
See?
Yeah, so even if you're a woman, you can buy Jeremy's Razors and you still win.
Or you can get the Daily Wire subscription. Yes.
both if you are so inclined.
I didn't know. Can you do both? You can do both.
Yeah. So like,
what do they have to do? They have to.
We have a link. There's in the description box of this video. There's a link
Yes.
with where you click on that, and that's our referral code.
our
And the
referral
more-
code is in the description, and if you click that, you will get your options on the screen to either get the Razor kit or get your Daily Wire Plus membership. But you can also do both. It just gives us more points in the competition if you get the membership.
Is there a leaderboard where they can check your points versus
don't
other
know.
people?
Right
I don't
now,
think so, but the leader right now is
Better Bachelor.
Better Bachelor on
Yes.
YouTube. Let's not even shout him out. Like, this is a competition. It's going to be fair, but like no free promotion.
What's the end date for this?
November
1st.
Okay. So we've got like all of October to.
Yeah, and I think that we can win. I think it'll be a cakewalk.
Mary is an optimist at every level. So
And you're a
so we will-
pessimist?
I tend to be a pessimist, but we're gonna go for it. We're gonna win, right?
Yeah,
you said so.
we're gonna win.
Okay. So we're gonna do that. The description box here for this video has a link to it. You may have to copy that code, but it goes right into the box. It'll be fine. So please sign up. That would be fantastic for both of us.
Yeah.
I suppose we would have to give a portion of that money to charity, and then we'll have to figure out
But we have yet to agree on
A charity.
because we're opposed on every level.
Yes.
Or can I just say you could get the McLaren, which I believe is a type of car. Now that I've Googled it, and you could
Yes.
make your own Fast and the Furious.
Oh, yes, an independent Fast and Furious
I'll review it,
fan film.
and I will be confused.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you could go there and sign up, it would be very grateful. We would be very grateful. So, thank you. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Kanye West upset literally pretty much everyone by saying something that shouldn't be controversial whatsoever at Paris Fashion Week. After that, we are going to discuss the ever-growing controversy around the choice not to recast Black Panther, the role from Chadwick Boseman, and then we're going to get back into the Try Guys because I have more than a few thoughts.
There are more
on-
feelings and some updates, but mostly strong feelings about this situation.
I have some questions related to Hollywood and morality. So we are going to do that. We're going
Don't
to
we
do
all, though?
Podluck.
That's a great question.
Yes.
It is a good question. So if you ladies we can just get right into it. Are we ready, ladies? Mary?
We're ready.
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Now that I'm done stumbling over my words, it says Kanye West calls Black Lives Matter a scam after runway stunt. He says, "You're welcome." What he did was at Paris Fashion Week, he adorned his models with various clothes that all said "White Lives Matter" on the back of the.
Yeah, I saw the shirt and I think that it's cool.
You gonna get one?
Yeah, maybe. No, it's not a ready-to-wear collection. I think he was just presenting this for Paris
Yes.
Fashion Week. But he himself was donning one of these shirts with the slogan.
The idea
But
that
his daughter North was there and she wasn't wearing it, which I think is cool that you wouldn't like put a political message on your kid.
yes,
Let's start with the most amazing thing that Kanye West has gotten himself into Paris Fashion Week. This might not be his first
it's not
appearance.
the first time.
But
No, I
still,
don't think
like
so. And
Kanye
No, they said
West,
they worked with
weirdly
him in
enough,
2017.
Kanye West, who produces beige sweatpants as his like marquee fashion
Okay.
item, is at Paris Fashion Week. Like, what a crazy day and
Are
age.
we going to act like any of the other designers there are better? Because
Like-
I heard horrible things about New York Fashion Week. I don't think he was featured there.
I think it's like, I'm not even against it. It's just like such a sign of the times that the king of like overpriced sweatpants after we get out of COVID is like, I'm at Paris Fashion Week with political statements on T-shirts. Like, Kanye,
well, that
Kanye
just
can
means
do
that he needs to
everything.
put political statements on sweatpants too.
I know. Where is my embroidered
Make them worth the
oversized-
money.
It's crazy.
There is nothing inherently political, or there should be nothing inherently divisive about a phrase like "White Lives Matter." If we were in a sane,
Young baby.
you don't let me finish. If we were in a sane society, we are not in a sane society. Oddly enough, the phrase "all lives matter" could have been phrased, but he knows that as
That's also bad.
An actual I argue that it would have gotten less attention though. That he is what you would call actually subversive in an industry full of people who claim to be subverting the establishment when they are plain and simple the establishment. He is actually subverting the culture, and you can tell by the backlash that he is receiving from this. He's kind of an expert at being provocative with his messaging. Make America Great Again hat, all that stuff. This isn't his first go-round, and he knew exactly the type of response that this would entail.
Yeah, I think he was specifically looking for backlash from the media, and that's why I wouldn't say it shouldn't be an inflammatory phrase. I think no matter what, the phrase, like any collective race lives matter, it's presuming that there is opposition to that sentiment. Yes. So it's going to be inflammatory in some sense.
By design.
By design.
But I also want to point out that the phrase...
I don't think that he's necessarily convicted in what the phrase...
No, I don't think so either. ...means
to anyone. He's just trying to get attention, and he perfectly executed that plan because a fashion editor at Vogue took to her Instagram story to presume what his intentions were and basically write a whole thesis essay on what she presumes his intentions were in making these shirts.
Emotivism.
It was crazy to see her like come to so many different conclusions about his philosophical intent behind these t-shirts when really he was just making a grab for attention, which I totally think is fine. He's a pop star, like basically he's a tastemaker. That's what his job is.
He sees himself as George Lucas. That's what he says in an interview. He said that he sees himself as George Lucas. And that's funny, too, because he's a huge Star Wars fan. So that makes perfect sense.
There are two components of this that stand out to me. Number one, the fact that instead of saying all lives matter, he said white lives matter because he knows that's sort of what people are getting at when they say all lives matter.
Yes.
Like, it is interesting that, you know, whether he's dedicated to this point of view or probably more likely he's just doing it to go viral and get your attention, he secretly rubs his hands and is like, strike, everyone is mad at me. The other part is like he then took to his Instagram and was like, Black Lives Matter is a scam. And to be fair, people have a lot of complicated feelings towards Black Lives Matter, but they are in court over a lot of fraudulent and financial issues, like literally
$10 million being stolen from donors. Patrice
they
Colors,
have private like mansions registered through the nonprofit that are actually just being used for personal gain. Like, they are in violation of a lot of really serious nonprofit issues. So I think in some ways it is interesting. Again, I don't actually know that Kanye West believes any of this stuff, but I do think it's interesting that his platform is calling attention to two issues, both the like weird tension we have about race in America, where we are afraid of saying some races are valid and some races aren't, but also like literally pointing out the obvious, which is that Black Lives Matters is a mismanaged organization.
I don't think he's even trying to make a point about racial politics or about BLM or anything. I think that he's trying to make a point actually about artistic freedom, and specifically that he feels he is not afforded the same artistic freedom that other designers and musicians are. And he feels specifically targeted by the media, and by presenting these slogans, he got the perfect way to put someone in the media on blast who is trying to read into his intentions and superimpose them onto him. So I just want to like read from Gabriella Carafa Johnson's Instagram story. She's the contributing editor from Vogue who posted about this extensively.
Is this the lady that said that the t-shirts are pure violence?
Yeah. So she posted screenshots from a text conversation with a friend. And I cannot imagine being this friend just getting a wall upon wall of text from someone just like absolutely losing their mind. She said, "What I feel is that he's not fully aware of the difference between appropriating BLM and subverting the Make America Great Again hat. Although I disagree with his thesis there, I understand his idea that the hat was a ready-made and its value was intrinsic to context, signature of the artist. When worn by Trump, it's racist. When worn by Kanye, it's about liberation."
What's he being... I actually have a question there. What's he being liberated from?
So being liberated from the expectation that all
expectations.
African-American people in this country support Democrats.
So somehow it can mean one thing to one person, but one thing to another. I understand that concept. I don't understand the idea that
He was really into Candace Owens during this time period of his life, and he was a lot of.
She was
like,
there here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does a lot at that time when he was talking about like this tweet where he was like, Candace Owens is saying some interesting stuff. It was a lot about her perspective on like, don't blame all your problems on slavery. Don't blame all your problems on Republicans. Like from what I'm remembering about this period of time, like have like ownership of basically how you behave, which at the time it seemed like it was appealing to Kanye West.
I think it's correct that he's looking for liberation, but it's not just from political expectations. It's more so about artistic expression, because I think he's specifically targeted by the media when he tries to do something unique and interesting with his art.
They also misrepresent what he says here when he says, so the guy who thought that slavery was a choice and that the woman who said slave owners deserve reparations more than the slaves wore matching White Lives Matter shirts. That's not what he meant when he said that. What he's saying is that the mindset now is a choice.
Mm-hmm. He said, well, okay, like from this wall of text, I see Gabriella said he was trying to illustrate a dystopian world in the future when whiteness might become extinct, or at least would be in enough danger to demand defense. But the danger is that this very premise, the idea that white supremacy is in danger of extinction, is what justifies mass incarceration, murder en masse, indeed, even the advent of slavery. She continued, the added layer of him having kids from his Donda school performing the soundtrack really felt like the divide between indoctrination and education has never been finer. That point is totally correct, just not in the way that she thinks it is. And I think it's really intellectually dishonest that she's applying all of these different artistic intents to him when he hasn't had a chance to explain himself. And also the expectation that he does fully explain his artistic intent is out of line anyway. He shouldn't have to. And
when he does, he talks about himself. He literally proves to you that he's using this.
He proves that it's not political or about racial politics
because he makes it about himself. He says, however, the rap star appeared undeterred the following day after the show when he took to his Instagram account and says, everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam. He wrote in a text, now it's over. You're welcome. Well, I just saw somewhere that's like Black Lives Matter, like the organization. That's an important distinction here. Whenever I mention it, I say BLM Inc., which is very different from the concept of Black Lives Matter. Any rational person, any adult who actually has some sense of humanity understands that everybody's lives matter. But the idea that the corporation that's based around it is a scam, like you said earlier, there's more than enough evidence to say, if not a scam, that there is questionable intent.
I mean, even if he's not calling the movement, the political movement itself, a scam, he is calling the conformity a scam. Yes. The conformity that he is expected to fall in line with.
You could be right. I'm thinking of it more along the lines of the corporation. You're thinking of it more along the lines of the social implications of the actual movement.
Because Kanye is he has a very individualist mindset. Yes. He's an artist. He believes that with his art, he can subvert people's expectations, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Also remember that the ADL has labeled White Lives Matter a hate slogan.
But the ADL, I'm just going to go out and say it, the ADL has an extremely strange standard for what's considered white supremacist violence. One time they did the study, this is going to get political, but they did a study on like white extremists, and they were saying white extremism is the most prevalent thing in the country. And one of their examples was a man who has like white affiliated gang prison tattoos who murdered his kid and ate him. And he was like, see, an example of white violence. So I don't know that I would always use the ADL as your trustworthy source.
So in the fashion context, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to continue on what
she was saying.
Editor was saying. She followed up on her stories because I think she was getting some pushback. It seemed to some people that she was coming up with justifications for the T-shirts. Even though she said she was fuming,
she was trying to intellectualize it.
Yeah, and she was trying to come up with intellectual excuses for what he put down the runway, which is presumptuous in and of itself because you're presuming that he needs an excuse. And like, here's some news for you: it's Kanye West, and he doesn't he doesn't need you to come up with excuses for him, even if that's not what you were aiming to do anyway. So she followed up her post saying that some viewers think her post was containing justification for the incredibly irresponsible and dangerous act of sending a White Lives Matter t-shirt down a runway. By the way, she censored the word white with only 3 asterisks.
Oh, also, I want to point out that
Which lives matter.
They talk about how that he forced models to wear these shirts, as if to say that the conformity would.
It's a job.
Yeah.
Like, the models voluntarily took the job of wearing this, and I'm sure that they, if asked, would express that they were thrilled to be able to model for a brand as publicly known
and
as
actually,
Yeezy.
At Paris Fashion Week.
At Paris Fashion Week, of all things.
I want to point out that there was this article about Bob Marley's granddaughter, that's Lauryn Hill's daughter, talks about working with Kanye and wore this clothes. And there's this stark difference in the tone. We'll get back to it. It's like there's this stark difference in the tone between when they talk about what they're excited about and when these people that are pushing back talk about what they're excited about. She's talking about how Kanye West is inspiring and it was a dream to work for him and all this stuff about how she's inspired about how creative he is. Like, there's actual genuine joy and creative excitement behind what they're doing, but the people that are tearing him down don't know how to create. They only know how to criticize and destroy. So there's just, to me, that was like, I kind of like going through all this. I was just getting not annoyed, but reading all this stuff it'll kill your joy. It will. Like, reading this stuff, but like reading her talk about her excitement to work with him actually got me excited about covering it, because it was like, it's not all bad.
The enthusiasm of his creative collaborators and his models and his fans is always going to outweigh the outrage from people like the Karefa Johnson media personality, who is calling it indefensible, calling it violent even.
Yes,
saying,
to wear a shirt.
Yeah, it's incredibly irresponsible and dangerous. He tries to send a social message, not a political one. And it's usually about himself and his own personal feelings and history, because he's an incredibly individualist person. And I know that he's done interesting things with runway shows before. Like, he even had models pick clothing out of garbage bags off of the floor to mirror the experience of the homeless who have to rummage for what they need to subsist.
He is kind of like the actual, in an industry full of people claiming to be artists, he's an actual artist.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he's allowed to be that because of the size of his platform and the money he's generated.
He was like that. He's always been this way.
I know, but I'm saying, but he gets the mainstream attention because of
what I was going to say is, like, for a long time he had this reputation of being erratic, which I'm not saying he isn't, but also I think in some ways now people know him, they know kind of what his reputation is, and so they expect him to be doing weird things. Where when he was just doing weird things while he was coming up, they were like, that guy's unusual.
And long before I'm a dude. Like, I didn't care about his fashion stuff. I cared about his music growing. A
lot of guys actually care about his fashion because there are like sneakerheads out there and people who are just like all around fans of everything he does.
But for a long time, for me, what I always noticed was that his music was very rare. He was one of the few artists that was allowed to get mainstream airplay with content that was inherently very rarely mainstream in its message, right? So most of the songs that he put out would follow a format that had undertones of club music, but the actual lyrics and the actual content that he was releasing made you think. And I always had a lot of respect for him for that, on top of the fact that people point out the fact that he got labeled a lot of things because he's they call him erratic, they call him every time he does something that they don't like, they point out mental illness, which is abhorrent.
That's what he accused Kris Jenner of. He was like, when I started speaking my mind or whatever, she had me locked up. Theoretically is bipolar disorder. I think part of it is his authenticity to doing what he wants no matter what. I mean, remember, this guy's declared bankruptcy. Like, it hasn't all just been straight wins for Kanye. Built this really dedicated and authentic fan base. So he can have unusual projects and he can take risks at these major platforms now that he has made his way there because people feel like they understand him more than just as this artist that's produced by a record company. Like he is a brand and sort of mindset in and of himself, and people who have been following for a long time want that from him. If he did just a normal regular show at Paris Fashion Week, they would be like, this doesn't seem like Kanye, are you okay?
I would also go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to follow off of like what you said about his music and his lyricism, because I think a lot of rappers are praised for having really deep, meaningful lyrics. But firstly, like musically, the quality is not up to par with Kanye. And the meanings of the lyrics from like a Kendrick Lamar, it's just not, it's not as sincere. What people like about Kanye West is his sincerity, and as an artist, he feels that he's been discredited, especially with that.
There's plenty of
that
racial
he is
politics
mentally
in his
ill,
music.
like that he's suffered from mental illness. He's been discredited for that. He's been made to seem like the unstable one in comparison to his now ex-wife, especially. But like, if you have sincerity and you don't care about the backlash, you cannot be canceled. Like, who else would go to Instagram, delete everything they post every other week, and post screenshots of a journalist's Instagram and post her outfits and be like, wow, Anna Wintour wouldn't like your shoes? Like, he's literally flaming this Vogue editor because he thinks, like, if you're coming at me, I'm going to come back at you just as hard.
Because they expect you.
That's fair game.
And they expect you to crumble and apologize the second they come at you.
And yeah, if your job is critique, then you should expect an artist to have a way to answer for that. Like, he is coming back at her on Instagram, and I'm sure this is the most attention she's ever gotten online, simply because she's getting a fair pushback to calling an artistic statement violence.
And beyond, it's not just her either. It's a lot of the people in general.
It's just different because she has a platform, and also she has the credit in people's eyes of working for Vogue, which obviously has a huge part in the coverage of Fashion Week all over the world. And she thinks that gives her the power to interpret exactly what Kanye meant with his art, and that, I think, is an attempt at like violating his conscience. It
also speaks to what we talk a lot now about how when they make these movies and they make these TV shows, you're not allowed to, like The Boys, you're not allowed to interpret the art your own way. You have to, they want you to interpret it the way they want you to interpret it. You're not allowed to take away from it what you will. Like, I listen to, there's some songs that come to my mind, like there's a song called We Can Make It Better by Kanye West. He has a whole library of music that goes heavily into the concept of racial politics and issues with America. But it was done in a way, like you said, that was heavily individualist and spoke to his experience rather than society as a whole, on top of getting into what it might mean for society as a whole. But it tended to be more reflective and open to growth than a lot of it comes from today. A lot of the music that comes out today seems to be like what we referred to as like it's scorekeeping, meaning there's a lot of revenge in what we hear these days. They don't want healing, they want revenge for things of the past, things that nobody alive today that we didn't have any part of. You could make the arguments about, you benefit from a system of oppression, this and that. There's discussions that can be had there, but he's simply taking a different point away. He's taking a different path around to a lot of the same conclusions, and they're so rigid in their philosophy that they don't even like his the route he takes to get there, even if he comes to a lot of the same conclusions that they do.
I think that
sorry,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think probably Kanye West has such a target on his back that he could have sent anything down the runway and they would have been like incorrect, bad Kanye. Like if it was this and it had, I don't know, Kanye West is cool on the back, they would have been like, a t-shirt for Fashion Week? Like, how could you even do this?
What they're doing is disparaging him as a person and not critiquing the art itself. You can easily claim that his art doesn't have the depth that he thinks it does. That's a valid critique. But she is explicitly attacking his character and reading into his intentions without giving him a chance to explain himself. And that's what has been done to Kanye every time he attempts to subvert people's expectations. And no wonder he finds that so like intriguing and like delicious to do that every single time. It works every time.
And like you said, the people that work with him seem to have a lot of, like the models, and you said seem to have a lot of nice things to say about him. So it says Stella, is it Stella? I'd imagine
Stella.
it's pronounced Stella Marley. She's the daughter of the Fuji singer Lauryn Hill, who's had her own long history in racial, talking racial politics through her music. So there's something to be said about that as too. She says that there was a video of her talking and joking with West at an event. In the video, she's wearing a White Lives Matter shirt. She captioned the video, "Love you, Kanye West." In total, Stella posted 3 videos showing her wearing the item. She was not forced to wear anything.
Yeah.
She's doing so because she believes in whatever that message is. What we can't
And
know.
not even a message. She believes in Kanye as a person.
As an artist and as
Yeah.
a person. So she's not reading into it. The other person's reading into it and then attributing motive to everyone who doesn't see it her way.
Yeah, the editor is saying he is by sending this down the runway, he is imagining a dystopian future where white people are going to go extinct. And it's like, I think you're imagining that and then placing that onto somebody else's creation because you're not capable of creating something yourself.
So it says, so many folks are trying to excuse, this is Jamila Hill. Jamila Hill. I don't know who that is. I almost thought it said Jamil, but we'll get into that later.
Everyone named Jamila.
Yes. So many folks are trying to excuse Kanye West wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt as just a troll move or marketing, but maybe it is, but it's a dangerously dumb message to send for someone with a massive platform. Again, I phrase, what is
Maybe it's
dangerous about the phrase in and of itself?
Do you want the actual answer?
I want the actual answer.
For why White Lives Matter is considered dangerous?
No, I want to know the actual answer. Is not I don't want the politically expedient one that they're going to give. I want to know what the actual answer is. Is there even an actual answer?
I mean, the typical answer that I hear about this is that you can't say White Lives Matter because white people have had systemic power, and therefore any arguments or any statements that promote them ultimately they'll use the term violence or commits damage to minority people, specifically black people, who at this point in history need to be given not just equitable power but overcompensate. They need more power than white people to balance out the historic imbalance there.
Do you remember the "It's okay to be white" on college campuses?
Oh yeah,
that was he should have put that on like a. He should have also released clothes that
I mean,
said
Lauren's
George Bush
making
doesn't care about black people.
Didn't Lauren Southern wear a White
Yes.
Lives Matter t-shirt or "It's okay to be white" to an airport in Australia, and people like picketed? They were like angry about this. Like, this is not a sentiment that people are comfortable talking about, but I think it's because America has an extremely hard time talking about race, and I think we are uniquely prone to do so because we are the actual melting
Diverse.
pot,
Yeah, we're the actual
unlike European countries or
out.
other countries. But I do think that ultimately white people in America are held as criminals, and therefore platforming them by giving them a White Lives Matter t-shirt at Paris Fashion Week is considered to be
that's the other thing.
incorrect.
This didn't happen in America. This happened in Paris.
I don't see Kanye giving anyone a platform, making any type of political statement. He's
always been
something
political. He's been
extremely-
political for years.
Sure, but only in the context of what it means for Kanye. Like,
Yeah, well, the thing it goes back to what he
He
said.
attacked Bush on
He's
stage.
making
he
a-
has had strong opinions about politics for a long time. It's just that like Kanye doesn't want to be in a box.
but he's
So-
making a commentary about Kanye every time that he's commenting on politics, really.
he
Because
gave a
he feels
speech-
like people are trying to take his platform away
But
from him.
you
So
don't
imagine
know that. Like, that's what we think, probably because you're a fan of his music and you know his stuff. Like,
Well, that's what
he
he's
could be
explicitly
doing-
saying
This
on
is what he
Instagram.
says.
In
This is what he says. So after people see the models, he doesn't talk about the shirts. He talks about himself. So he says he gave a speech before the presentation declaring, "You can't manage me. This is an unmanageable situation. I am Ye, and everyone here knows I'm the leader," he said. At another point, it doesn't appear that he directly addressed the WLM slogan. He was making it about himself. He was using those words as a vehicle to get you to talk about him. I have no problem with that.
It's derivative of a political message, but it's
used
not a political message. It is a message about himself, his artistic integrity, his platform, his freedom. He feels like a lot of people are trying to suffocate his freedom and read into his heart in a...
Like the editor.
Yeah, like the editor did. And like that's something he's outwardly saying. I don't feel like I'm reading too much into Kanye's intentions by saying that. He is generally making a statement about himself as a person in his life.
Not every time he comments on politics it's about Kanye. Like this instant, yes, but he has been interested in politics pretty publicly for years. And I think that's okay. Like he shouldn't have to not be political because he's an artist. He shouldn't have to be political because he's an artist. I mean, that goes against the message that he's portraying at Fashion Week. He doesn't want to be in a box. He doesn't want to be limited in any way. I think that he is genuinely interested in national issues. I just don't know that like the White Lives Matter movement is something he's genuinely interested in. I think it is definitely for the virality.
I don't even think that's a movement.
No,
anyways.
that's not a movement.
I think that it's probably just about the fact that this got so many clicks and the images of these t-shirts are going to live on. I mean, he is a master of the internet, if nothing else.
I'm going to finish his statement here. So he says, specifically in this fashion context, I see myself more as a George Lucas than a fashion designer, he explained. There's just people from the same planet, and sometimes in high school it feels like we don't fit in, and in a situation like this, we have the opportunity to come together to express who we are. It comes back to what you said about personal expression. So I think you're right. He is a genius when it comes to being actually subversive, and he got exactly what I think he wanted out of this, to no one's surprise that this was going to cause this much controversy. Also, having Candace Owens there was something he knew would upset all the right people who are going to say all the wrong things or all the right things in their own context.
Playing on everyone's racial discomfort in the West, particularly America, and from what I can tell watching his interviews, he seems to be like very comfortable talking about race and talking about all of his opinions on divisive issues.
We were watching an interview one time, and Mary and we were actually getting really excited because of how like excited he was. Like, do you remember that?
Like he just seems like a deathly sincere guy. That he like laughs to himself, and he just like refuses to be ashamed of things.
See, I like it when he's on interviews and he won't laugh, even though the host is trying to get him to. Like, no, you can't make him do anything.
What this is all about, it seems to me, is that like Kanye is saying to the world, like, I don't want to be a follower. Yeah. Like he's saying that to the fashion world in particular, which is supposed to stand for that.
Thank you. The other, did you ever see the clip of him where he's talking about Lady Gaga? Where he's like, if you see a product, you can sell it. He's like, Lady Gaga she's the key directed marketer, the head of marketing for Polaroid. I like Gaga's music. What the hell does she know about cameras?
Yeah.
He's great. Mm-hmm. He doesn't say I like her music. He goes, I like some of Gaga's songs. But what the hell does she know about cameras?
Right. Yeah.
It's the way he says it. He's got this like look on his face. It's like super serious.
He's like I'm the only one who sees the like illogical.
What the hell does she know about cameras?
He says it that way. Like he's like, I need to. Like he's actually asking you, the consumer, to tell him because he needs to freaking know.
Yeah.
So
people appreciate sincerity like that.
Mm-hmm. So super chats.
Colt Seaman said, Too Fast, Too Furious is our generation's Schindler's List. Besides Bros, of course, so don't diss our hero, Paul Walker. Also, I heard Kanye's white now, I guess.
Does that make him white?
I've seen, like, pictures of Kanye edited to be a white guy. Pretty disturbing. I wouldn't want to live in that alternate universe. 1,000 Foot Deep End said, Happy National Taco Day on this Taco Tuesday.
No, I want tacos.
Is it Taco Tuesday?
Well, I mean, it's always Taco Tuesday.
I'm going to have to get
Tuesday.
tacos then.
But if it's National Taco Day.
I remember when you were like, when I first got here, you were like trying to advocate for a taco day.
Oh, yeah, I really wanted to order food.
But you were wrong about it being a
national
taco day.
Yeah, someone had told me it was Taco Day, and then I had to look it up 12 times, and I have no idea when Taco Day actually is. I would like an official calendar with all of those like National Pancake Day,
All
National
the food
Burger
days.
Day. And then
International
I
Talk Like a Pirate Day.
think we
just
should
passed.
renegotiate our contracts and have it like we have to observe it as an office.
No, Brett, only the food related ones.
Everybody gets to pick their one holiday they want to take off. That's like an observed holiday and not a
No, we have to
regular
have
one.
like catered meals on National Pancake Day and National whatever day.
Well, maybe on National French Toast Day. I don't know about Pancake Day.
Mary Archived said, Hannah Claire, you're gonna love Tokyo Drift. I don't know why I'm super chatting this to you. You're right in front of me.
Also, I want to point out that somebody
We had a Brett impersonator in chat.
I got a
yesterday.
message.
Knowing your identity.
I guess
I
it's my turn to be impersonated today.
I got a message from Lydia last night.
Oh,
and,
really?
And she messages me and says, "This you?" And it's somebody in the super chat on IRL named Brett Dasovic Sensei, and it said something about chlamydia. So
Was it you?
It was not me.
Just okay. That was
what
clarified.
was it
Or
saying?
maybe it was me, and I'm just playing a double bluff.
What
right now.
exactly was it saying about chlamydia?
I
Brett?
didn't see the episode.
I
but
thought that Google didn't allow you to change your name that many times in a day.
that's maybe he worked. Maybe
He is running an op.
who's the guy who runs Google? Patel, Sandra.
No, it's Waffle Sensei.
It's Waffle Sensei.
I am nervous about Tokyo Drift, which I think is the third one, because everyone says like this is like the turning point. Like either after this you stick it out because you're a fan, but most people that I've heard from are like it really does go downhill from 3, and I am like it hasn't gone uphill for me, so I don't know what to expect.
It's just
after
going to be
this.
suffering.
I'm really hoping I love Tokyo Drift for whatever reason, and then I can feel like the gradual disappointment instead of it being like it's okay.
A lot of
and now
people
I
like
really
Tokyo
hate
Drift.
this.
A lot of people
Yeah.
because it is actually like a different movie. It's got
Whenever I
none of the
mention to
same
people
characters.
that I have to watch all of them, they're like, they're all great. To the first 3 are great, and then after that,
okay.
The
and they
super-
shake
The
their
Fast
heads
and
mournfully.
Furious mantle
the
continues.
super chat said, "No, Lydia, we get chlamydia."
Oh
So
no.
no, Lydia, we get
Seems like a personal problem.
So
So
they're
next
boycotting.
week?
They're boycotting.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yash said, "We don't care if you like it. We respect the grind, Hannah Claire."
I appreciate it.
Mary Archived said, "Jesus is the hero we need. Kanye is the hero we deserve, but we'll take him."
We will take him.
Caper2X said, "A woman in a beanie can take on the entire world."
Is that true? Is that true?
I don't feel like that right now, but I hope it's true. I think it's making me too cozy. I'm gonna take a
fall
nap.
asleep. Well, didn't somebody call you sleepy?
Yeah, they were saying like Mary is my spirit animal. I feel like falling asleep all the time.
I fell asleep I told Hannah Claire I fell asleep at like 11 p.m. and slept till 1 in the morning, and you know
That's
like,
literally 2
the
hours.
Worst,
really.
the worst, and then of course couldn't fall back asleep till like 5:30, and then had to get up at 8:30. So
Your sleep schedule is messed
it's
up.
messed up. Yeah.
Josue Cuervo said PCC lives matter.
Not CCP lives.
Wait, can you guys make a PCC Lives Matter T-shirt?
I
Like
think
the
we should
same-
make a lot of merch.
the like same long sleeve black T-shirt. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And but Kanye West face on the front, or at least the non-copyrighted.
Thank
image.
you. That was, by the way, F off. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Ooh.
I love these lights.
We have yet to read F-offs. Okay, chill out.
Hey, I got excited for a second there.
AK Storm 49 said, Hannah Claire, I wish your brain luck getting through the rest of the Fast and Furious
You
series.
guys are not selling this for me. You're like, come on. Where are my Fast and
I am
Furious
really
fans?
appreciating the crowd. I'm glad that we've
I-
all
No,
loved
they're
it.
gonna be honest. It's not
Tim.
good.
I need Tim to get in the chat. I know he's busy. He's got stuff
He's
to do.
like, they go to space.
Why does that? I just like
Why is that a selling
whenever
point?
anyone
Men are
says
so
that to
weird
me,
to me.
I don't get it at all. If they go to space, so why do they go to space? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
You're
It's
supposed to be
also-
like, oh
thank
boy.
you so much for your support. 15 hours to go.
It's also really funny when Tim's like, I'm not really a fan of James Bond. I'm like, you don't like James Bond, but you like the Fast and Furious. They're both fantastic.
Okay.
Come on.
If you say so,
I
Brett.
do say so.
They continued, be prepared to suspend a lot of your beliefs, mostly in physics.
Wait till you get
Well,
to
if
the
a car
one.
is jumping over a bridge, I would assume that.
There's a really no. The one that one that they did in this one's actually plausible.
Oh, really? You
but
looked into it.
I-
Tested it
He
out.
researched it.
But the one that there's
okay.
this one you'll see the one where everyone in the chat will know what I'm talking about with the never-ending airport runway, where it's like the airport runway just goes on forever. You'll see when you get there.
Okay.
I don't want to be doing this.
You're gonna
Will
see
you
it.
make me like a scavenger hunt card?
Yes.
Like being like
Bingo
these are
for
the
Fast
things-
and
yeah,
Furious?
something like that. Like, because I
A drinking game would be better.
kind of, but I like try not to pick up my phone to like actually watch it. and it's just
There's probably a Fast and Furious drinking game.
I'm sure. Well,
Probably.
yeah. Every time they say family, every time Dom says family, you drink,
Really?
you'll die of alcohol poisoning in the first movie.
Okay, all right. We're past the first movie, so what about Tokyo Drift?
You're gonna. Well, I don't know about Tokyo Drift, but anything with
Brett can't even recall the plot of Tokyo Drift.
I've only
has
seen
no
Tokyo Drift
idea.
once. Everybody else loves Tokyo Drift. I love the rest of them because they're all absurd. But when you get to the fourth and beyond, and you have to hear Dom say the word family, you will die of it's kind of you'll die of alcohol poisoning. So I
I'm
wouldn't
not
do
going to
that.
play a
one.
drinking game, but I am going to put this off until the last minute. It's going to be me like Monday night again, and it'll be like, oh no, I have to watch it before Pop Culture Crisis.
Yeah.
She's
That's your version of a Sunday Scary.
I give her till like movie 6 before she starts Wikipediaing and cheating.
I'm
No,
gonna
no
try
Spark
not
Notes.
to because I feel like gotta honor the wager, you know.
If you don't watch it
I'll
one
note
day,
that
just
Brett
tell
still
us
has blonde
it's
hair.
okay.
Well, I think we've agreed that I've kind of have an every other week schedule, but that's mostly because I don't really watch movies.
Bats said, "You guys are so good. I watch things I could care less about. Thanks." Thank you.
What?
Okay,
Like
cool.
we talk about things they don't care about.
Okay.
They still watch.
I was like,
we got a comment like that yesterday. And it
I
was,
love
like,
those comments.
much
I took this
appreciated.
one as like he only watches things that he doesn't care about, so he doesn't care about us, which is both
Like, F you guys,
an
I
insult
guess.
and a compliment
I
at the
think-
same time. It's
I
like,
think one of the beauties of this show is that you guys cover enough topics that some people are really interested in, and then there's other things on the show they're not. But it makes them a well-rounded person, and now they have stuff to
yes.
talk about with all the like people they run into in the world.
oh, you don't know about
Oh.
Jamila Jamil? Well, let me fill you
How do
in.
you like video games? I heard this video game thing is happening.
They're
Oh,
like
you
stuffing breadsticks into their purse. Like, I'm gonna go. Vile Basic said, "Which do you most can't the least?"
I don't know what that means.
I guess-
Yeah. Yes. AK Storm 49 said, "Also, when are we going to see more Brett and Mary on Cast Castle?" Hannah Claire, you play a CNN interviewer very well. How fun is the process of playing that?
Yes, Hannah Claire. tell us.
CNN is
Yes.
presumptuous.
I play a news network for our office correspondent. It's really fun to work with Wesley and the rest of the blog crew. They're really interesting, like how they're doing stuff and like producing stuff. I will say that I develop a very serious speech impediment right before I start recording, and I can't say anything that has an S or a T in it. So they're patient with me as I stumble through many takes of trying to say the things. I'm not even trying to be insensitive. I just can't do it.
The last night Wesley came in here to do like a voiceover clip, and he did like a 4-minute monologue freehand, like didn't stutter.
Really?
He stuttered like maybe once, but almost never had to pick up and start over again. It was quite
What a
incredible.
guy.
And as for me, I don't.
Brett's
do-
camera shy. He charges extra.
I
to be in
charge
the vlog.
extra. I at one point my idea was like I'll only be in it if I get to play like a very vile character that's absolutely abhorrent and rude and mean to everyone,
Your real
Which
life
is
self?
hilarious.
which would be hilarious. But
Because you're totally not like that, right? Wink
What-
wonk. No, I'm kidding.
Wink wonk. That's what I want on
wink.
merch.
What does wink wonk
Wink
even
wonk
mean?
lives matter.
It means wink wonk.
That doesn't mean anything, and I'm not mean.
I need to stop watching YouTube said women are trans women. Women are trans women. And it's beautiful.
They can't wait to clip that.
Mary Archived said saying it's okay to be white is violent.
Yes, very
Apparently.
violent. So we're learning.
I need to stop watching YouTube said okay, this is I can't read this. Not only because it's offensive on YouTube, but also because it's grammatically impossible.
It also kind of doesn't make any sense.
F off said, "We don't care if we lose what we have because we have most likely had to rebuild our lives a few times. We say what we think and move forward. Kanye seems odd." Wait, I can't read the rest of that.
You can't read the rest of it? Oh,
No.
so it says, when you are a man, you know you can always earn money. We don't care if we lose what we have because we have most likely had to rebuild our lives a few times. We say what we think and move forward. Kanye seems odd, but he is just a man doing his thing. No worries, no stress.
Okay.
Live your life, homie.
Is it true? Have you had to rebuild your life a few times?
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
I feel
just
like
once.
that is true.
Once, but I'm young still, so
Could be more.
Could be more, but The idea, like, but the thing is, like, somebody like in my situation, right? So you go through addiction. What will happen? Somebody young makes mistakes in their 20s, rebuilds their life from scratch, then gets married. A lot of people get divorced. You have to rebuild.
Or like you have kids, and you have to kind of figure out life again. Or
Like
you go
obviously
through
don't
bankruptcy.
plan on it, but it happens.
But it happens. So
I think that the sentiment that like women probably do too, but I definitely think that like the adaptability and trying to take the circumstance that you're in and do better. I think everyone should take that to heart. It's a good message.
Absolutely.
Halls and the Kid said, I like Fast and Furious. Hannah Claire and Mary are wrong.
Well, with that being said, with that fantastically,
given
Jessica,
it a
you're
chance.
such a traitor.
with that fantastically true statement, we're gonna save the rest and we're gonna move on to
Okay.
subject 2, just because we can. All right, guys. So basically, what's going on right now is that Wakanda Forever has this growing controversy with the fact that they decided not to recast Chadwick Boseman.
They
as
decided
Black
to
Panther.
girl boss Black Panther because it's a mantle, right?
That's what was always going to happen. And there's the thing about this is there's a couple of reasons for this. On one hand, it has to do with Chadwick Boseman and his legacy. On the other hand, it has to do with whether they should be recasting any type of mantle at all. On 3, does it have to do with it's a woman. On 4, it doesn't matter if it's a woman because it's the wrong woman because
Wait.
a lot of these people don't like Letitia Wright.
Can you start at the beginning? So Chadwick Boseman was in
The original Black
Original
Panther.
Panther.
He's also
he died of cancer.
Yes.
And they want to recast him or they don't.
They don't want to
They-
recast
they
him.
chose
They just
not
want
to.
Letitia Wright to be the Black Panther identity.
We don't know
Okay.
that. We don't know if that's confirmed. They could, for
Well,
all we know,
it's
that
a
could be
very safe
And
guess.
she was already in the franchise.
Yes,
Yeah.
she plays his sister in the movie. So it says Black.
And are they gonna like write in like tragically
His death,
original Black
yes.
Panther
Yeah.
died? Of,
Yep.
They're not going to say. Well, I don't know how they will handle why, but it's becoming weirdly controversial. So my question to you is like, do you find this okay? My problem with it is that they've been changing mantles, race swapping, gender swapping, and every swapping all characters. I'm actually kind of excited about the fact that they chose not to recast him. But then I thought about it and thought, from what his brother said, now we can't, we don't know if his brother knows Chadwick Boseman well enough to know this for sure, but said that he would want the role to carry on because of the cultural significance that the character of Black Panther has for young men in the Black community.
Yeah,
Right. So they would want that character to go on. The names they float here are John Boyega and John David Washington, which is Denzel
And, like,
Washington's.
Those people aren't already in the franchise.
No.
So they'd have to introduce them as new people who took over, as opposed to being like within the family his sister became.
Yes.
Who will
and
just
there's,
seamlessly play
Yeah.
T'Challa.
and there
no
is
explanation.
there is like crappy modern comic book relevance to the idea that she did take over in a couple of runs of the comics while he was recovering from injuries. I do remember that. So, but the other problem here is that
There's always a loophole that
Yes,
they'll come up
there
with, but people are dissatisfied, I think, mostly because of what they think the movie means and not what the story meant to them and why they think it doesn't make sense with the story. And that's annoying.
So what do you guys think they should do? Just
I thought they
personally.
should have recasted him.
And kept the character even though it's a different actor.
Yeah.
And you thought
I think recast somebody in his place if it's important for that character to be a man,
Thank you, guys.
but not someone as T'Challa.
yeah, like have a male Black Panther, but it's a new character.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I think they could have. I think
And you would have it be the same character.
They can do
same,
multiverse in the multiverse. If there was one franchise where it would actually work, you could do the multiverse here.
Well, we've talked about where a mantle is suitable for a certain franchise. Do you think that, I mean, given that you're not invested in Black Panther as a franchise, regardless, like, do you feel like a mantle is appropriate for it?
The Black Panther is a mantle in that community. It's not a person. It's
Well, who came before T'Challa?
his I don't remember if it was his dad that played him before that. In the comics, I don't know, but I just know that they talk in the movie context. They talk about in Civil War that the Black Panther was created to protect the community, the country of Wakanda from outside forces. So it actually is in that context a mantle. I'm not going to pretend to be a super nerd. I'm not
the
a
comics
normie.
have been going for decades,
Yes.
if I'm correct in that, and I don't think there's ever been a female Black Panther before.
No, Shuri
Has
played.
there been?
Shuri took over for him while he was injured for like 5
but that
issues or
doesn't
something.
that doesn't mean
make
she
her-
fully took over the mantle.
No, I don't know in the comics. Like I said, I'm not. Maybe Caper 2X can let us know. I'm not super familiar with that source material. I just know that in the movies they phrase it as a mantle in Captain America:
Sure.
Civil War. I do want to point out that it is weird that in a culture that is so with Marvel being so anti-male and being all too happy to recast other male characters, that now there's pushback with people saying, why wouldn't you keep the male character in this role? It feels like they actually, Ironheart is in that trailer, and Ironheart is just a ripoff of Tony Stark, Iron Man. She gets the armor from him and becomes Ironheart rather than Iron Man, which is not the same thing, but it's the
Iron
same
Lady as like an ode to Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah. So it's weird how they've now become very, very pro-male, because they talk about in one of the articles, they talk about basically that he was something that young black men could see themselves in.
Yeah, I saw one of the comments on this change.org petition to recast TChalla said, "I'm signing because this is generational inspiration for black children and adults." And I want to question that, because it doesn't show an investment in that character, T'Challa. It shows that you're assigning some kind of social impact to the movie, and I think what kids see is a superhero movie and a bunch of adults arguing about it. They don't assign the same importance that adults
are absolutely assigning way more meaning. But that's Hollywood does that with everything now. Everything is some type of bigger, more grandiose idea. It's not just a movie. It's not just a gay rom-com. It's a movie that is important for all of.
Yeah. I wonder if in some ways, if it is true that like, ultimately communities that support this movie that are big fans of it want there to be like black male superheroes for young black men. I guess I'm a little bit lost on this, but like, wouldn't it be meaningful to have a new character take over Black Panther as a male, like to what you were saying, because then you're still seeing another black man. In fact, in some ways the message then becomes like, not just this one black man, but all black men can rise to this heroism or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
It's looking like they're running into a conflict of interest in this hierarchy of
what's a
social agenda.
Because we get into the sexism of it.
Because there is a question of like, but doesn't this say that to young black women that they can be Black Panther or whatever? I also feel like hopefully your kids' role models aren't only from superhero movies. Like, hopefully they have lots of role models and lots of different mediums.
Are they only going to have Black Panther and The Little Mermaid and like the reimagined Red Riding Hood?
All the other, unfortunately. So it says, Shuri spent much of her time in the shadows of men, according to Marvel. However, after working to stop the invasion of Wakanda
crazy long shadows
and helping her brother recover after Dr. Doom nearly killed him, Shirley stepped into the spotlight and became Black Panther herself for a limited run. In the comics, T'Challa even lets Shuri remain the Black Panther until he recovers from his injuries. But this precedence does not seem to be enough for fans who lamented the loss of T'Challa and suggested a number of actors to replace Boseman, including John Boyega and John David Washington. John David Washington was in Tenet. John Boyega was obviously in Star Wars. The movie has zero appeal for me. Erasing the main character from his own franchise is one of the most egregious things you can do. Profiting off of the death of a real-life person is even worse. That person is right because they advertised the movie on his social media, which was one of the most ghoulish things ever. But
they're justifying it with the fact that he signed for another movie before he died. And like, that doesn't show that he would be comfortable with someone taking over that character. And it doesn't show he would be comfortable with a woman taking over the mantle that he had.
It's also really funny. In like one of the articles I read, they said they're making the character more diverse, which really proves that diverse just means
Wakanda is not a diverse nation.
But I'm saying by diverse they mean not men.
Yeah, exactly.
So they say Twitter user Digital Slop was one of the many to argue that the backlash was rooted in sexism. The hashtag Recast TChalla discourse is rooted in misogynoir. You don't get to hear that one every day, folks.
That is a fun
I know.
word.
I know.
I love that. I just like think I want to start inventing language.
So
you know
it says,
what I mean?
the recast T'Challa discourse is rooted in misogynoir. Shuri is the Black Panther, and this is where you lose everyone. I'm not. In fact,
Is
I'm,
misogynoir the same part there? It's like black men refuse to date black women.
Yes.
Is that also
I want to finish
misogynoir?
this statement though, because she actually gets in here and she would be right at home in the She-Hulk discourse. So I'm gonna read this from the start again. So it says, the hashtag recast T'Challa discourse is rooted in misogynoir. Shuri is the Black Panther and T'Challa is dead. Argue with ya mammy. She wrote. They wrote, whoever the hell they are.
It just is like
It's
a
so
lot of people
snarky.
taking this movie very
Seriously.
personally and seriously when
But I think-
it's a freaking Marvel
And
franchise.
I think Hollywood did a disservice by making this personal, by making it about like the
Yeah.
American black identity as it is perceived by superhero land. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they sold this as like a, you know, we see it all the time with a lot of different productions, but they're like, it's an all black nation with a like black superhero and this, that, and the other. And it's important. It's a big deal. It's revolutionary. And like, no wonder that people are like crazily emotionally attached to the nuanced details of this, that like there's no way for anyone to win here, right?
Sorry, there was no reason for that movie to be nominated for Best Picture of the Year other than
You don't understand.
politics.
It's breaking boundaries.
Yes.
well, it
changed
made
the
a
world.
ton of money, to be fair. What was it, like $1.6 billion?
How much more than
Even
Fast and
I
Furious?
don't go as far as to say that means
Can
you
I
get,
swap
that you
one
get a
Fast and
best
the Furious?
You're
picture
always, but you are like the champion of if
money.
it makes money.
Yes, but that doesn't mean it's
then-
a Best Picture nominee. Those are different.
Yeah.
Sure.
methods of ranking something altogether. I want to point out also that this only has like 68,000 signatures, which is
And it's
not
I
that
looked at
many.
like on change.org, it shows you how frequently it gets a new signature, and it's like every 4 hours they get another one.
And I want to. And the other thing here is, I think that a lot of it has less to do with him and more to do with the fact that they don't like Letitia Wright. She
And
fell
why
on
is
the.
that?
Was she the non-vax one?
She's the one who's religious and made claims that she's like, hey, maybe we should wait and find out whether this is actually healthy to take this vaccine, which immediately got her
And they-
labeled as anti-vax.
This is like
Crazy.
basically fake news, but they claim that she halted filming for the second Black Panther film simply because of her refusal to take the vaccine,
Which is not true.
not true.
See, I could be totally wrong. I remember that coverage being sort of like someone, we won't say who, got COVID, so we all had to shut down. Which
yeah,
is like,
She got hurt.
they halted filming because she was injured
She
in
got
her
injured.
knee.
She got hurt on set.
yeah.
That has nothing to do with
Maybe if she had gotten the vax, she wouldn't have-
insubordination.
maybe if she had gotten the vax, she wouldn't have hurt her knee.
She's like, and the funny thing is, I remember now she's kind of been labeled like any movie she's in that like that stuff would come up. I remember when we were doing,
Yeah, it's
when
'cause-
we were looking into Death on the Nile, they list like the movie with Gal Gadot and with so and so and so and so, and they're like, and Cannibal Army Hammer and anti-vaxxer Letitia
Yeah.
Wright. I'm like, what?
No, but it's
They're
like
trying to Don't Worry, Darling,
I can-
Death on the Nile.
I can tell you
guess.
exactly what it is. It's reporters who get like they have to write a certain number of stories a day. I'm one of them, and they are like, okay, this movie's coming out. I'll Google all the actors and see like who does what. Oh, look at this girl. She's gotten so many headlines. I will include it in my piece to make the minimum length. Like, it actually has nothing to do with anything except it's sort of tangentially related. And so we get this, you know, these tiny nuggets of information, which, as you guys have talked about with the Army Hammer story, get whittled down to just like the buzzword phrase: anti-vax, this girl, cannibal guy, Army Hammer. Like,
Yeah.
it becomes devoid of meaning. And in fact, if you asked the person who wrote the article, they would be like, well, it's just something about her, but like I guess it has nothing to do with this actual movie that's being produced when COVID regulations have been repealed. Like, it's just there to make the article the right length, and yet
Yeah.
it then impacts her career and I assume how she moves through Hollywood. It's crazy.
I'm
part of the problem, I swear.
I will say that if there was a franchise that they have that makes sense to go the female route, it actually is Black Panther with with the Dora Milaje, the all female guard being a huge part of it. The female aspect of that film was very, very significant. So if there
Okay.
was one of these movies where it made sense, this does make sense.
Yeah, it's just different factions of wokeness
Yes.
running into each
They're-
other
they're
and butting
battling.
heads.
It's
and
literal intersectionalism. They're,
Yeah,
they're like
like-
hitting each other at the intersection.
They're
Yeah.
intersecting, and it's not going so harmoniously as they would hope. But
Because they haven't established their hierarchy.
yeah.
You know? As soon as they fight each other to the death, they'll know these are the categories that outrank other things.
the movie should have been two people battling to see who would take over the mantle.
Well, that
But,
might
like,
be what ends up happening.
I don't want to downplay the fact that the mantle, aside from a few exceptions from the comics, has generally been men. And I think that should be something they stick to, and not just because a random tragic event happened to Chadwick Boseman, but simply because it's important to the character.
This is a weird situation where I'm actually kind of okay with all of the outcomes. Like,
let them.
I'm kind of okay with Shuri doing it because she's not horror. Like, she was annoying in Black Panther, but like she's fine. I would have liked it if they did let M'Baku, because Winston Duke plays M'Baku. He's a great actor. I would like them to have him play the role. I would have been okay with them bringing back Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger and find a way to have him take the role. I'm not really against any of the options here, so I kind of get to win either way. I mean, it could be worse. It'd be really funny if they made like.
But they feel the same, or they should feel the same way.
Yeah.
But
But
you're
I think they
talking
do.
about who should take over the mantle of Black Panther, but the movie itself wasn't important to you. It's only the social impact you believe the movie had on society.
I mean, I think that like ultimately the fans, the majority of the fans do feel like, whatever you guys decide, like it'll work out. That's why it's getting, like you said, a signature every 4 hours or whatever. Like people aren't running to this change.com signature to be like, I must voice my opinion and have influence.
Yeah, and they think that recasting T'Challa is a way to honor Chadwick Boseman
No,
after
not
his death.
Who does?
I feel like it's like
Well, I watched the video of the guy who started the change.org petition.
They think yes,
and he's a huge fan of Chadwick Boseman. He was even talking about his like how he's, at least in his, I don't know Chadwick Boseman, or never knew him, never knew his personal life, obviously, but like he showed these pictures of him like granting Make-A-Wish things, and like just said that he is such a great guy, and he's a legend to this franchise and the MCU in general.
I do believe he
and
would have
that
played that role
honoring
forever.
him would mean recasting his character, and he would have wanted this, and we're honoring what his deathbed wishes are by recasting T'Challa. And I just think like it's really not that serious. Maybe I'm just saying that like I'm biased because I'm not invested in the Black Panther franchise, but like I really don't see
and like
how it matters.
You could make the opposite argument, which is like it's like when an athlete dies on a team and you retire their jersey number, and there's a ceremony and it goes, I don't know where it goes, but we could retire this character with Chadwick Boseman, because otherwise what I think they're opening the door for is there's no way to have the next movie come out and critics review the movie. What's the character's name that Chadwick Boseman played?
T'Challa.
The next guy who plays T'Challa will always get compared to Chadwick Boseman, and out of respect to his death, or like kind of the implications of, you know, the loss of him to this franchise, like it actually probably makes sense to maybe keep Black Panther male or maybe move it to female, but not to have T'Challa in it anymore.
The continuity, well, I mean, the continuity also makes it a problem too. The Joker, you know, Heath Ledger dies, and they can recast, but they have to do it years later because it's not the same franchise anymore. This will always be the same universe, so they have to come up with their own way of doing it. I honestly think that maybe Okoye would have been the better choice to play Black Panther, because she's the actual head of the Dora Milaje, if I remember. So like she actually makes more sense as like the warrior type than his sister. But we'll see.
But it's like, why isn't that good enough in and of itself that they have this warrior class of women?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be Black Panther? It just seems like posturing at that point.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes. And this is one of those weird situations where I actually don't feel like there's a bad option. So to you, what is a character that is iconic to you, played by one person, and how do you feel about them being replaced? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Fun. Look at these lights. I also feel like my shirt kind of matches with all
It
the
does.
lights.
It does.
I'm not into franchises. I'm into one-off films that are standalone. So
I respect
can't
you so much.
I can't say that
Well,
I am invested.
What I would
in
say
a
is
certain-
to that, and I agree with you completely. You know, I'm anti-sequels on pretty much every ground. A Knight's Tale, which is one of my favorite movies ever.
Heath Ledger.
Has Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger died. I would never, number one, want to remake, even if Heath Ledger was alive. It's gold, leave it alone. And also, like, there are multiple characters in that movie who were portrayed so well that I think if you had to recast them, it would be terrible. That's the closest I can get, like a remake of a one-off movie that I like.
The only like franchise of sequels that I would support is Twilight, and when they recasted one of their main villains, Victoria, I hated that.
And technically, Harry Potter did this way back in the day with Albus Dumbledore's character. I can't remember the original actor's name.
He died in the
He
first
died
one.
after the first one, and so or the second one, and so we got the majority with the other Albus Dumbledore, who actually
McKellen, right?
played him. I can't remember. That's your job, Brett. You know all the actors. But he actually played him very differently, much more loud and dramatic. And that's actually very different from the books. So that was an interesting choice too. We do see this happen. I just think that like it makes sense to retire this character for a number of reasons. But now that I have come to this conclusion, primarily because you don't want to be the actor who has to follow up Chadwick Boseman in the same character role.
Especially when Marvel and society has given it the level of importance that they claim that it has. They recasted. You just
can't win even if you do a good job.
They recasted. I was more upset. I was more upset over the casting of Mahershala Ali as Blade because I love the original Blade. And as far as I'm concerned, don't recast Wesley Snipes. Just bring Wesley Snipes. Bring old Wesley Snipes back and give me old man Blade. And it will still be the coolest thing ever because Wesley Snipes has a unique type of charisma. Mahershala Ali is a fantastic actor and has his own type of charisma, but it's not the same thing, right? So,
are you guys like so excited for the marketing around Black Panther 2 to pit the audience against the movie, saying that if you don't like Letitia Wright in Black Panther,
I don't think they're going to do that.
That the movie isn't for you?
That would be hilarious if they did that.
Are you excited?
They're like, take that, you incels. That's like that's they'll do. That's.
I want the incels to be like, what? We didn't even do anything.
I think Tariq Nasheed would have a lot of interesting opinions about this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For sure.
I have no doubt. So,
let's go to Super Chats. Have you seen it? Movie reviews said Fast and Furious is absolute trash franchise. The only time we get drunk on our show to review a film. Our yearly spectacle, but still love you, Brett.
What is this? What is this channel? I need to.
Have you seen it? Movie reviews.
Look, I'm not. I appreciate your grace at the end there. Still saying that you still love me. Thank you. We love you too. But I have to disagree. Trash is in the eye of the beholder.
Have you seen it? Movie reviews. Are you doing this soon? Can I join you for one of these movies? Because I'm going to just tell you,
absolutely just plastered and goes
every time they say family.
I just don't like. I respect your choice to like this movie because it makes money, which doesn't totally make sense to me. But okay,
that's not why I like it. I like it because it's dumb fun. No, you always misinterpret my justification as to why I justify.
Oh my gosh!
You
always. Someone bring in a marital counselor.
You always conflate.
Look at this pen. Do you see this pen?
You conflate my explanation as to why it gets sequels with my explanation as to why I like it.
Yes. No, I understand that you like it because of cars and explosions and girls in short skirts.
I never said the girls in short skirts part, but the girls in short skirts.
So you admit it. I just don't understand.
You do understand. You understand how it gets.
It doesn't appeal to me. That's all there is to it.
Okay, but a lot of times you'll be like, oh, like I don't understand why they keep making these, and I keep answering your question, and then we recycle this every time.
Yeah, I just always.
We need fast.
I cannot wait for the body language analysis on this show.
I just do want it to be over. I have to say, I don't like this anymore. But
please edit that for Hannah Claire to be saying, I can't wait for this episode of Pop Culture to be over. Please take it out of context.
I'm having a fun time, but I have 15 more hours to go. I'm trying to decide if I should watch them all in one weekend, just knock this thing out, or if I should continue to give you weekly updates as I progress through the series.
It'll get easier over time. It's like a scab.
You said I would like them. That was the other thing you promised me. False hope over here.
I never actually believed you'd like them. That's fake news.
No, you were one of the first.
True intentions.
He was one of the first. The first 3 are pretty good. After that,
yeah.
Okay.
Fake news. Luis Aguilar said, Hannah Claire, I know your opinion on sequels to movies. Does it apply to books as well? Did To Kill a Mockingbird really need a sequel decades later?
Absolutely not. The other thing about the To Kill a Mockingbird sequel and books.
I didn't even know it had a sequel.
To Kill
it's
a
awful.
Mockingbird 2 Electric Boogaloo?
Set decades later?
It's set decades later, and the lawyer who's involved regrets doing it. But the author who wrote the sequel, kept it locked in her desk, told all her family she had done this, but didn't want it published. After she died, whoever inherited her estate published it. So to me,
that's awful.
This is a violation.
That's basically the same level of disrespect they're giving to Tolkien.
I think it is. And part of it is there are some books that the storyline lends themselves, and I've said this with movies, I'll accept maybe a trilogy for movies, right? If there's a strong plot line, you have climax and valleys and pits in all the movies, I'll get it. But 10 seems like too many for Fast and Furious. And with To Kill a Mockingbird, she explicitly did not pursue publishing it. So why years later, after she's gone and can't be a part of the review and publication process would you do this to her legacy?
I still
Like, that
think
seems
that's
crazy to me.
I still think that's what George R.R. Martin's doing. He's just waiting until he dies, and then it's just like he'll leave that book to be published when he dies, so that he doesn't have to hear what people think about it.
Well, like Sylvia Plath had a collection of poems that she was working on, and like some weren't meant to be in a book, and they were kind of scattered. And after she killed herself, her husband did posthumously publish a book. And I can understand where like it's a poem, it's something different. You know, it's not really a sequel because it's a collection of poetry, but like there is a place for that. I just think with To Kill a Mockingbird, which is such a strong example, shout out to you for picking that one, it's just disrespectful to the author.
Yeah. Sylvia Plath's, even her food diary was posthumously published.
We
I've
have
seen that
done
too.
everything to make her like a commercialized emo sad girl and to just like talk about her to death. And there are some really interesting poems written about her by people who are close to her that don't get nearly the same attention, and I wish they would, because it would give you a more holistic picture of Sylvia Plath.
What's a book you would like to see a sequel of that doesn't have one?
I don't know. It's a good question. I grew up reading this series that actually, now I'm thinking about it, has like I think 10. If anyone is probably British, but if you ever heard of the Swallows and Amazon series, they're set in the Lake District in England, and there's like it's about siblings who basically sail around to the islands in the Lake District and have like these adventures. And I think there is like 10 of them in total, and I always loved all of them. They were great.
Is that author is alive?
Arthur Ransom, no, he's dead.
No. See, there are no living authors that could make a sequel to what they've written that's well loved, you know?
No.
I think you have to build a universe in a way,
like,
and just people don't really do that right now. Their attention spans maybe are too short.
Like, I imagine like J.K. Rowling being taken hostage and being told she had to write a new Harry Potter book, and just being like, no, like it's not the same time anymore.
But then she did try and make like that play about like the cursed child. Like she tried to be like,
well, yeah, but that was a play, not a book.
I don't
liked
have
that play
anything after this. And she wrote another novel about something else.
She's got her other book series under her pen name.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in that than Harry Potter.
I also want to point out that there is
just let things come to a natural end.
Here's an example of something that doesn't need to come back from something that I loved, which is the first. I loved Criminal Minds, at least the first 5 to 6 seasons of it, and it went for like 15. Didn't need to go that long. Hey, look, me telling you something didn't need to go that long, and they're bringing it back in a limited series format, which won't work. It's gonna be crappy. So there's something that I agree with you on. Not all things. But that's also supposed to have deeper content, despite the fact that it's network TV. It was like more serious than racing cars and girls in bikinis.
I think there are some authors who really beautifully build a world for their characters, and the world has natural openings to pursue more plot lines or more stories or more character development. Whereas there are a lot of books that are one-off that do well commercially, and so they're like, do another one with the same character. Yeah. And they probably don't have enough of an expansive universe to naturally have a second storyline, and that's the kind of thing I object to.
By the way, that's a less less intense point than the point I give to her.
I got a stern talking to point.
Okay. Why you came said to Hannah to Claire.
That's exactly right.
I love it.
Does that make you the Ava Mendez of this show?
And no one knows if I'm a good cop or
a
if
bad cop
with this weird guy.
Nobody knows.
Potatoes for Seamus said French toast lives matter. They absolutely do. And pancake lives, they don't.
Yeah.
What about waffles?
Waffle lives matter.
No.
They do sometimes.
No.
Always.
Pancakes lives matter more than waffle
no.
lives, but French toast lives supersede all of them.
Prove it. Bobcat said they just need to recast Brett as Black Panther. He fits the role as well as most modern Hollywood casting decisions.
Let's go.
Jose Cuervo said Fast and Furious is aged liquor. Still gross. True.
That's no, Fast and Furious is incredible and not bad and not gross.
Caper2X said, I can't, Brett. This is too diverse from the original comic source. However, his sister was effectively Wakanda's crown princess, so it makes sense.
Yeah, in world, it makes sense. It's just it's funny watching all the angles of backlash come to pass.
Even if it makes sense, it's important to certain people because of a social agenda, and you can't divorce it from that. 1,000 Foot Deep End said, if they'd recast a man in the role, there'd be complaints about them not passing the mantle to Shuri. There's no pleasing these people.
I was thinking about how they're talking about how they're going to replace Trevor Noah. And the thing is, when you do these things, when you recast and you make it more this, more that, more diverse, more this, you don't ever go back the other way. Like, you don't ever make... If you cast a woman in that role, you never recast it as a man. It stays that way forever, because then you're undoing the progress.
Maybe we haven't gotten to that, like, cycle of recasting yet, though.
Yeah.
Like, they're starting it, and they're remaking all these movies that came out, and now we're going to remake the remakes probably in, like, 10 years. And at that point, we'll figure out if we'll go back or not.
It's sort of like the mantle on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like, after... casting the first female doctor,
they were never going to cast
you
a straight
deviated
guy.
from the norm, and you cannot go back to it ever again.
It was never going to be a straight guy.
Yep.
Nope.
Caper2X said, Beanie Mary, respect the Wakanda colors, make mine Marvel. Did I disrespect them?
No disrespect.
James Orenthal Wen said, you don't understand Midwest. They're making history.
Well, of course. That's why, all of it.
You're just a flyover state.
That's all we are. It's so fun. Like, I am like the best thing, like Hollywood, if they wanted to really market right now, they'd be like, this movie is not here to make history. We just want to make this thing to occupy a couple hours of your time. That would be revolutionary right now.
Immediately no. If they have your attention, they need to sell you something.
No, don't. Yeah, but don't sell me on how this movie has great social implications and how it's bigger than this movie. It means this, means that. Bullshit. It doesn't mean anything.
You're just saying that because you've always had systemic power, you white man.
You're a monster. Potatoes for Seamus said, has anyone seen Waffle Sensei lately? He's been missing in action. LOL. Happy National French Toast Day.
Well,
it is?
It's...
I'll believe anything.
And tacos?
Is French toast and taco?
French toast taco?
French tacos? Is that a thing?
Both. Nathan Settlemyers
Where is
said,
Waffle Sensei?
I wonder. Nathan Settlemyers said, replace Black Panther with a Chinese actor because of Chinese colonialism in Africa, but don't reveal it until the end of the movie.
There is a distinctly nationalist message around Black Panther, an isolationist message in that movie, like
there is,
very heavily.
But remember, only for some people.
Only for some people. Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna save the rest. We're gonna come back once we get done talking about our good friend, the Try Guys. Yes, believe it or not, they're still in the news.
Our favorite YouTuber group, the Try Guys.
Do you want to explain this one, Mary?
Sure. So there's been some new details that have come out about Ned Fulmer of the Try Guys' affair with a subordinate employee in their independent company, Second Try LLC. We originally reported on this last week because it came out that Ned Fulmer was ousted from the group for his affair.
How dare he?
We argued about it. I explained that I think it made sense for them to fire him because firstly, he built his personal brand off of being the wife guy, the guy who was obsessed with his wife and his kids. And he also hurt the brand of the group as a whole because they're supposed to be wholesome and, hailing from BuzzFeed, they're also supposed to be socially woke. And he hurt both of those counts. So it's come out exactly the identity of the employee that he cheated on his wife with, named Alex Herring. Yep. And people have gone and dug up her Instagram. It's all just very salacious and gross. And they've also found found moments in old videos that showed the warning signs of the fact that he was cheating.
They found these two out in public. That they got Stasi'd hard.
That's
by,
the craziest part.
The normal, just regular people are just snitching on this dude.
I mean, I don't even know if it's snitching or if it's that the person who saw him was a big enough fan to both recognize him and the employee because the employee had also appeared in videos.
Maybe they didn't realize it wasn't his wife.
Maybe I don't know. It's just so weird that I find it weird that he was going out with her and acting like they were a normal couple while being a public figure.
They're at a club.
He's a public figure and he thinks that he's not going to get snitched on. It feels like a self-sabotage
to someone else.
That tells me.
Yeah, she was engaged and he's married. it feels like both of them sabotaging themselves by going out in public like that, because he does get recognized.
Well, then my problem here is that the very first comment, first of all, my problem is the selective morality of Hollywood. My other problem here is that this woman is no longer allowed to have her own agency. This wasn't some dude who cornered her in an office and said, if you sleep with me, she's out
I'll
in
give
public.
you a promotion. Yeah.
Whatever happened to a strong, independent woman that just wanted to assert her womanhood by getting drilled by her boss? Is that not a thing?
Okay, whoa. Brett, like that's
I'm just saying that like, why is it
okay.
why is it that it's that you can only enforce these things once in a while, right? Like,
Yeah.
she's either a fully independent grown woman with her own agency who made the choice, however poor it may have been, to sleep with her boss. Is that a good idea? No, absolutely not. It's stupid. But I'm sick of power dynamics when they're out like picking apples
I totally
together.
sympathize with that point. And the video that the 3 remaining Try Guys have posted, it's #1 on trending. They explained that because a family is involved, they want the public to respect their privacy, but also they know that women receive more flack online than men do. So please keep that in mind while you're responding to this situation. We're still
so glad they took this moment
processing
to
and
be male
learning.
feminists.
Yes, yeah. They're just still trying to double down on that branding that they're the male feminist, wholesome 100 heroes pogger.
And they're removing his videos, however hard it may be to try to remove Ned
Yeah.
from all of their
Well,
content.
they
even
have
said,
something with
like-
like the Food Network that they have to scrub him out of.
They've got this show that is still continuously airing on Food Network, and they have videos that feature him where they're going to lose out on money because they're not going to post them.
Yeah.
And they have brand deals featuring all 4 of them that they still are legally obligated to post, which is so awkward and dystopian.
I think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious because I don't like these people, but to imagine being in their shoes, it's just so awkward.
My main issue is them talking about it like they're like, we're losing a friend. I'm like, no, you made the choice to lose a friend.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if it's a matter of personal trust that was broken, then I do get that angle of it.
I do think that like he acted inappropriately. He risked their entire business
Yes.
for like basically self-pleasure and to damage his marriage, which like no respect there. I will say initially when this broke, I saw a picture of the girl involved. She has brown hair and brown eyes, and I thought she was all I saw was like engaged producer on the show, and I don't really follow their stuff, but I had seen a long time ago on Twitter that one of the guys had gotten engaged to a girl with brown hair and brown eyes, and I was like, whoa, did he?
No,
it's not her.
I think it was
It's not her. I was hoping that it was that level of scandal. I'm not gonna lie to you, that he was like not just sleeping with a
he was
producer,
cheating with
but
the
like
guy's
with
fiance.
one of the guy's
Yeah.
fiancés.
No, I
Not
think that was
salacious.
Zach that was engaged.
So what happens to the female employee? She cheated on
gets
her
to stay.
husband as well.
Nope, no reprimand,
no
no
rep-
shame, no nothing.
I-
Even though she was going out in public with him, I think that's the worst part
They-
because
that-
they know that he's going to get recognized while they're together.
And like she's a producer on the show, right? So like they go out together doing whatever.
They're both public
Then they
figures.
come back and he says, "My wife, my kids," while she's like, "Click, click, click," doing producer job here. Like
Yep.
they know exactly what's happening. She knows that he is married. It's not a secret. She can't even be like, "I didn't know. I just produced videos with him and his wife." Like,
Also, by the way,
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
producer is not some production assistant nobody on set. A
This
producer
is a small company where everyone
Yes.
presumably knows each other pretty well.
a producer is not a low, like that. I keep coming back to the thing where they're talking about power dynamics, right? They're like, he could have coerced her into doing this. If she's a producer, she might not have the same level of power as him, but she's not a nobody, and she's an adult
Well,
who made her own choices.
and if
They're
this
both
is-
adults that made their own choices that are screwing the company over.
And if this is the like male feminist environment that we think so, she could have gone to any one of her 3 other male bosses and been like, "Hey, he's making advances towards me. I am uncomfortable. He's married. This is inappropriate." And they
Right.
would have been like, "We will deal with this."
Then would
There's-
he have faced the same consequences, or would he have stayed in the
I mean-
group because they didn't have a public
Thank
outcry?
you.
Hey, I mean, I think it kind of depends, right? Like if nothing had happened between them, he was just
Thank
flirting
you.
with her, he was crossing boundaries, and she goes to
Well, we all know
tall
flirting
guy,
is
Keith
as long
or
as you don't
whatever.
flirt digitally now, you should be fine.
No
go-
record of it.
go
Just
to,
don't
like-
send it on
Hold on.
Instagram.
You go to Keith or whatever, and you're like, "Hey, this is making me uncomfortable. I don't like it." They
Uh-huh.
would probably reprimand Ned. They may not work on projects together. Like they could separate. There's a way to handle it. it's different when she was like, he's flirting with me, or maybe she flirted with him first, whatever it is, and then she continues to participate in it, right? That's very different than being like, this relationship with someone in our office that's very small is inappropriate and uncomfortable. Like, she never took that route as far as we can tell, right?
Yeah.
She didn't complain about him and then say, but actually I do want to get involved with him.
Which is why Ned Fulmer chose to stress in his public admission that this was a consensual workplace relationship. Again, I mean, the abuse of the language there is crazy because we used to call that just like cheating on your wife. But because of like the possibility of legal repercussions from this girl deciding later on that she regrets this relationship, he had to word it like that, which is absurd.
Well, and like, she still has, sorry, you just pulled up her LinkedIn. She has associate producer second try still on her LinkedIn. Like,
yep, she's still there.
So then on Monday you go to work and you're like, hi, Try Guys.
How do you think the rest of the employees might feel about this?
Should I delete these pictures of Ned from this brand deal that I helped foster? Like,
yeah.
I can't imagine she should stay at this office very long, because if you were any of the Try Guys or any of the other production team, wouldn't you look at her and be like, you have damaged our brand. Even though you're not the face of it, you have caused us all harm, especially if it's like, what, a company with 10, 15 people? Like,
if you're supposed to treat
we're
her
like
as
a little bit bigger than that, and like, I would know everything and also be like, guys, come on, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine she comes back in the office and you're the editor who's working like triple overtime removing all these clips, and she's like, hi, I brought you some coffee, and he's just like, F you.
Including the remaining videos on their second channel that are titled shit like moments that show Ned and Ariel are absolutely perfect together, and like moments where Ned Fulmer constantly mentions his wife.
Or like, there's been like some,
Maybe
I don't know what they're
talking about
called,
this
but those
lady.
weird like anime dolls that like have voice recordings. I saw this video of one where he was like doing his like, my wife, or like however he says it.
I hate it so
People like this
much.
age very poorly. I will say, I've seen a couple reports of like them being out and about, their paparazzi stalking their house.
They're still
and
together.
They both have their wedding rings on.
Well, so is Adam Levine. Adam Levine just did a concert and his wife was there.
Yeah.
And
Walking around arm in arm.
Giselle still supports Tom Brady, even though
but
they're
she's not
being,
showing up to games.
She's not showing up
So
to games.
she doesn't really support him.
I want to talk about Hollywood's weird selective morality in this idea that they seem to be absolutely opposed to anything that has to do with the concept of like traditional relationships,
like any monogamy,
unless they can weaponize it in a situation like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so that, like, I don't remember the last time they actually cared about anything to do with straight or even gay relationships that were just one, a couple, one individual couple. Like, that seems to not really matter to anyone anymore, unless you're Adam Levine and you're cheating on your wife.
Yeah, and like someone even commented on this situation saying that the problem isn't that he was cheating on his wife, it's that it was with a subordinate employee, and
See?
the power imbalance is just so egregious.
I thought you were going to say, and they were like, it's not that he cheated on his wife, it's that monogamy exists in our relationship, in our culture at all.
And monogamy is just so oppressive. No,
Monogamy-
it wasn't that, thankfully.
All the comments that I was reading had nothing to, nobody gave a crap that he was cheating on his wife. All they cared about was the fact that she was a subordinate.
Like, where is his wife in all of this, who is now SOL? Her husband has no income, and she just got betrayed and humiliated in the public eye.
Well, and she's publicly involved with her company. She's been in videos.
Yes.
Like,
Also, I'm sorry. If she's a producer, she should be gone. Like, this is,
Yes,
like I said, this is
gonzo.
not, she should be gone. Like,
Yeah,
she
exactly.
should not.
They should both be
They
fired.
should both be. I mean, I don't think either of them should be fired. I think they should try to weather it and
I feel like-
rebrand. But if one has to be fired, they should fire both.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they have to?
No, I'm not saying. I said I would appreciate
Rebrand,
them. I would
though.
appreciate the attempt at them trying to.
Because he so brazenly went out in public with this woman that, like,
Just say you're in a throuple. Hollywood loves that crap.
That's sort of what I'm waiting for. Well, actually, Ned and I have a progressive open marriage.
Yeah,
where
that's all they have
whatever.
to say here.
And that's why they're still wearing the rings, because it's not that he cheated on her. It's that, like, he did it publicly. And so actually, I'm just a hypothetical, like, obviously I think they're just a monogamous couple, but like, if they're like, oh, we have an open relationship, so it's not that he wasn't doing something he wasn't allowed to do. It's that, like, he did it publicly and that embarrassed me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what if they have some weird,
we had terms.
like, because they are like
signed a contract.
Right. They're like a white Hollywood monogamous couple. I think he's from the Midwest. He went to Yale. Like,
True.
they're so traditional. They have to have one thing that's like, that they've Hollywooded about, you know? And I think it's probably that they have some weird. I doubt it, but like theoretically, it could be that
There's
they're,
an
like,
angle. There's always an angle, a loophole.
They're not
of some
monogamous,
kind, right?
I'm
they're
just
whatever.
over the selective morality of a bunch of people that
No,
are
I totally
inherently
agree
immoral.
you were talking about like how we were just talking about that rom-com
Yeah.
bros, and it's deviating from the rom-com genre in that it has mention of not only like political issues, which is annoying and preachy in itself, but also like raunchy jokes about like orgies
Yep.
and
The
even jokes like sexual jokes involving children, which is really creepy. And we're supposed to not even like bat an eye at that, but when we see a guy cheating on his wife, and this is like sadly a rather ordinary situation, then we're supposed to be shocked and horrified because of a power imbalance that doesn't even exist.
Of a woman who's a grown adult who's also a producer on the show. Remember, if this was a producer, she could be getting in the same amount of trouble for
and
doing
not
so.
even just a behind the scenes person.
No. Like
someone in front of the camera.
And she was a fan. Like, I'm reading something. She was a fan of them before she worked there, so she has known their story. It's very obvious that she's aware of their personalities and dynamics ahead of time. Like, this is just like a weird thing. I feel like she should have to explain to herself. Like, I don't want to shame people. Like, everyone makes terrible decisions in their life, I'm sure, but like, I do kind of want to hear the logic. Like, he's having to account public for it. I do want to hear from her that's like, I was engaged, but I decided to do this even though it had consequences for my friends and coworkers and the other people involved in this person's family. Like, I just want to know what the logic was.
There
or
was
what the
no
decision
logic.
No,
There was
it was
no
impulsivity.
logic.
It was, I think what this is, maybe since she was a fan of Try Guys before she worked for them, it's like some kind of fulfillment of her fantasy as
that's
a
what
fan.
I think it is.
And that's really creepy and weird.
And, like,
I think we should talk about that. Like, should you hire someone who's a fan of yours who actually is like, it looks like she's in the age bracket that would watch BuzzFeed Try Guys videos when she was like in high school or middle school? It's weird.
Also, what is the end goal of this relationship, right? You guys work together. He's married. You're engaged. Like,
It's
you're gonna have a
self-sabotage.
torrid affair for 10 years and then blow up the company eventually.
The
It's
guy's
mutual
It doesn't make
self-destruction.
The
any
guy just
sense.
wanted an out and his contract is too
Yeah.
long, so he's just like, let's go have sex and pick apples together.
It's mutual self-destruction. That's what it is.
It's my other favorite thing to do now is to find, like, if you look like when I'm trying to make the thumbnail, all the awkwardly edited photos where Ned's shoulder is visible, but everybody else is in the picture, but they've clearly edited him out of the rest of the picture.
Yeah.
Because they have to find a way to get rid of him from all of their material.
Can we show the clip of there are so many compilations getting posted on YouTube
what was
right
the start
now.
part? 209?
I linked it with the timestamp.
I know, but
anyway.
I already
210.
210. Okay, so I don't know how loud this is going to be, guys. So warning ahead of time.
Inter-office romance, while frowned upon by PR, is inherently
HR?
thrilling. Oh yeah, by HR. Sorry.
PR, it can be a big win.
Big night. Yeah, that's a good one. Come work for us. You'll find the love of your life.
Hey!
While frowned upon by HR, is inherently thrilling. With the caveat, I just want to make sure to our drunk listener that this is not someone, you said that he is older, is not someone in a position of power over you.
Right.
Want to make sure that
Also,
is
is
the
she
right
behind
thing,
the
but I'm going
camera
to
right now?
assume in
Because he's looked at the camera like 4
Maybe.
times. I'm not liking this. It's making me uncomfortable.
There were so many moments like this, and it's just like,
and she's probably
Mwah. Perfect.
I guarantee you she's behind the camera, and he keeps looking directly at the camera.
ew, I hate it. I hate
The
it
top
so
comments
much.
is I think it's hilarious that Keith, Eugene, and Zach unfollowed Ned but still follow Ariel and the dog.
Ugh.
Well, they're clearly taking sides.
Yeah, like they were.
Oh, she was
friends-
always going to get chosen in this. over here.
Ariel?
No, I'm saying in I'm thinking of the producer.
Oh,
not-
they're
not
following the producer, not Ariel. the
I
wife.
imagine that, well, they're not allowed to choose his side over hers.
They should choose both, not their sides, right? Like, if you really think this was so bad and so much damage, you should unfollow her, fire her from the company. You should unfollow him and cut ties with him if that's what you feel like you should do. I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
exactly the right procedure, but like, be consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if this was a consensual relationship.
It was a consensual
And they should be
relationship.
consensually fired.
Yep. So, life comes at you fast, as they say. So
Yeah, when you posture as a male feminist hero,
recount
life
like
sure
Also,
does come
I don't
at you
need-
doesn't
fast.
this confirm to like never trust a male feminist?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Absolutely.
made the joke the last time we had it was Adam Levine when I said reset the clock, reset the counter, and they're like, well, that's when they get like when they abuse someone. I'm like, no, it's just when they're hypocritical and
Which,
don't
yeah.
live up to their ideals that they constantly brag about. Okay, so reset the clock again.
Yeah, on male feminists.
On male feminists.
Getting accused of misconduct in general.
I don't
Not
know
just
how many-
abuse.
How many women are listening to the show? But if you are and you know a male feminist, do everyone a
Stay
favor.
away from him.
Run.
Block his number.
Whatever direction he's going, you run the opposite way.
All right, let's go to Super Chats. Porco Rosso Forever said, did you like the movie? No, but the skin colors were great.
Basically.
Carnell said, apparently it's not okay to recast T'Challa, but I see it online that Harrison Ford is being entertained as the fan recast for the late William Hurt's portrayal of Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU. Sus.
Yeah, that's a really interesting choice, honestly, given the look of Harrison Ford. I would have rather had William Hurt, obviously, if he was still with us. But even he got his grave like crapped all over when he died because of accusations that came against him in like the 70s.
So wait, what should you would prefer if they didn't recast this character?
They're gonna have to if they're doing the Thunderbolts. I would have rather they just left it alone. But I mean, Harrison Ford, they'll have to find it's more work for them because they'll have to come up with an in-universe reason as to why he looks different. They're not going to just do the thing where it's that person but they look completely different. They would have to figure out a way to do so. But that could be interesting. But like I said, I would have rather they recasted T'Challa, but they chose not to.
They could deepfake him.
That would be even honestly, they probably
Scary.
could. I mean, he's at
Of course.
like he's at that age bracket where it's like, you know, it would be, who did we talk about yesterday? There was something we were talking about yesterday. I was like,
Bruce Willis?
Somebody was talking about like, what if they deep faked Chadwick Boseman? And I'm like, the shitstorm would be immense, swift,
I
and
mean, there was no
justified.
shitstorm when they used his Twitter account, so
Well, there
I don't
should have
know.
been.
Sketch Therapy said, Fast and Furious don't hate you, Disney hates you. You can feel it.
That is true. That is another reason to support. Like when Disney makes something, they literally make it to spite you. Maybe that like the best way to dumb down, as if there was needed to be any dumber. My logic as to why I like these movies is that they're unapologetically not politically driven in most cases.
But it's
right?
because of the time in which they were made.
And that so I
The
support
new one,
keep
you don't
making-
know if that's going to continue.
Hobbs and Shaw is the same way, and Hobbs and Shaw is a spin-off from the series that didn't become extremely politically correct. But they were at one point going to make an all-female girl power version of
Ew.
Fast and the Furious, which anyone with half a brain understands would be an absolutely terrible
Because
idea.
women would be like, yawn.
They did hire Brie Larson to be in the new one. So what do
Yeah.
I know? I could be wrong. They could be insane.
We'll see how that goes for them.
We will.
Waffle Sensei said, hey guys, sorry I was too busy to watch yesterday. Killmonger should definitely become Black Panther, but realigns to become more like T'Challa while still holding his original values. I apologize for Brett's language in IRL.
Yes, apparently
Thank you for that.
I was boycotting No Lydia and then saying for that we get chlamydia?
I am glad you're back, Waffle Sensei.
Thank
I
you.
like that he is such a like fixture in the super chats that people are like, but where is he? Where did he go?
Well, it wouldn't be a show without Waffle
Yeah, I
Sensei.
feel like it's not.
Have you seen it? Movie reviews said, Hannah, you 100% can. We feel bad you have to watch them all, but we have been lucky and suffered through them over the decades. By the way, love your work on Timcast.
Who's Hannah?
Yeah, who is that? I don't understand.
It's half of my personality. I don't know
It's
which
your
half,
alter
though.
ego? I don't know.
Thank you so much. Timcast is cool. You guys should check out timcast.com.
And they're
Click
still
on the read tab.
wrong about suffering because what they mean by
I am
suffering
suffering.
is living your best life.
I feel
while
like
We've
watching-
seen so far one person who actually likes Fast and Furious.
I
Yeah.
feel like Brett is about to be a dad and be like, she's not suffering, she's building character.
You know
Yeah.
what? Like
Rub some dirt
like
on
all
it.
good movies, they build character.
You know, the persecuted are often misunderstood when they're speaking truth to power.
Right. Okay. Caper2X said NCIS started its 20th season. Brett, love you, Hannah Claire.
Okay, Brett and I are both NCIS fans.
Not
and the
after
thing
season
is-
13.
Yes, there is a deadline for that too.
Yes.
All good things must come to an end.
Yeah, and once Michael Weatherly left, there was no reason to keep watching. On top of the fact that I've heard that it's gotten extremely woke in later seasons. But I will tell you, I will put the 2 and 3 part episodes of that show in its first 7 or 8 seasons up against just about any TV show on the record. They're that good. When they do multi-episode arcs, they are very, very, very good. The Aaliyah part 1 and 2, Kill Ari part 1 and 2, the Enemies Foreign, Enemies Domestic. All of them are extreme. Like, it's almost shocking that you could write network TV that good because they have to do so many damn episodes a season. Like, it's very, very good. I do recommend. I've actually I've refined that to be it's not even through 13. It's through 9. Like, after that,
yeah,
like,
I'd say 9, and then like
Right.
you can kind of watch it for a season or 2 and like remember the good old days, and then you should stop.
I liked Emily Wickersham's character for a while, and then they did like a gun control episode where they go to like a gun expo, and I'm just like, no.
Sir, immediately.
Yes. So yes, that is my soapbox for today. Go watch the 2-part episodes.
Waffles Sensei said, I saw the interview with the vampire trailer.
It's so bad.
Puking emojis.
It's so bad.
I haven't seen it.
Are you? Have you read?
I
saw
saw
a trailer, it
like
was
the
awful.
banner for it on Amazon.
Have you read the books or the book?
No.
Have you?
No, I've only seen the movie. But it's already been approved for season 2 because it's so diverse. They're like, we're gonna give it a season. It hasn't even come out yet. Like, the first episode didn't air, and they approved it for season 2. Though it would be kind of funny. Like, I was kind of down to watch the Quantum Leap reboot because I'm always like welcome to be wrong. So maybe the interview with the vampire one would be a better one to watch. The Quantum Leap one, apparently that show's an absolute disaster. Mm-hmm. But maybe we check out an episode. I don't have AMC Plus, and I don't have regular TV, so I'd have to figure out a way to watch it.
I need to stop watching YouTube. Sorry, I cannot read that. Sketch Therapy said Fast and Furious wants your fun and car joy. Disney wants you to
hate you. They want you to hate yourself.
Yeah.
Yep, they do.
This is difficult to read. I'm sorry. 1,000 Foot Deep End said, didn't the woman's fiance catch them kissing and outed them? No, it wasn't the fiance.
DM'd him on the
Yeah,
Instagram,
they DM'd him, but he wasn't the one who caught them in person.
In the future, man, we won't even need cops or the government because we're going to have
also-
snitches all over the place.
Imagine
Does
finding
that
out that
mean-
your fiance's cheating on you from TMZ.
Also, remember, like, does this mean that like the person who DM'd him on the Instagram, like, he's not as famous as like the other people involved in the story, so presumably he was like, oh, I got a DM message, like, what's it say? And then he gets this information. Like, do you think the person specifically wanted to go to him because they knew he would answer, or he was more likely to? Do you think they also DM'd Ariel and was like, hey, is Ned like out and about in this city?
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious.
I would probably sell it to TMZ before sending it to anybody else.
But I guess they needed the
'Cause I'm a horrible
confirmation because
person.
now they get confirmation from the person involved's partner.
Crispy Lake Transport LLC said, I was driving, but I had to stop and say they need to recast Black Panther. They're robbing us of the Black Panthers, marrying Storm, and the entire arc.
I mean,
Oh, so the fact that he's male does, unless it's like a lady marriage.
so that would be interesting. Like, do they even have a Storm in? Okay,
It was specifically T'Challa and Storm that they wanted.
I don't think they have a Storm casted right now, so that would be interesting. We'll see where that goes. I do like the idea. I think out of all of them would have been the Michael B. Jordan version to bring back him as Killmonger and have him take over. It's really funny too because I rewatched the Honest trailer for Black Panther. It's one of the best ones they ever did. And they're like Michael B. Jordan playing the most jacked man who ever went to MIT. Because in the movie he goes to MIT. He's just absolutely just ripped. And it's just really funny. Like, I'm sure they all look like that.
1,000 Foot Deep End said she should be fired too. Women's equality, right?
Hey. Don't kill the messenger, as they say.
Daniel.
Gonna save him and then we'll do
Okay.
Podluck. Let's do Podluck, guys. We're gonna keep reading them after we talk about Jamila Jamil. I know you guys can't wait to hear about Jamila Jamil. Mary, tell everyone about her.
Every time it's in the headlines.
Tell everyone about Jamila Jamil.
Jamila Jamil has decided to put Karl Lagerfeld on blast. If you're not aware of who he is, he's a fashion designer, and he is actually who the Met Gala has been themed after
And
this
apparently
year.
super based.
I mean, I don't know if I'd call him based,
I'm
but
kidding.
he
Oh.
has a history of controversial statements and opinions, as you would expect from any gay man in fashion
He
for
was
decades.
A Kanye West, so to speak, of the fashion world.
And it's interesting that she takes such issue with him being the theme of this 2023 Met Gala, because it's sort of already a joke at his expense in a way.